She told me you two were hooking up, my best friend laughed. I just shrugged and said neat. Worth it. He smirked, expecting me to join in on the joke. The entire bar seemed to fall silent. He had no idea I had just handed me the punchline to a 5-year-long story. So let's get the cast right? There's me, and I'm pretty chill. There's my best friend, let's call him Jake, and then there's his girlfriend Chloe. We were all a tight-knit group. Now Chloe is a lot. If you've ever seen that hot crazy matrix chart, she was a permanent resident of the upper right corner. One minute she's the most captivating person in the room, the next she's creating a Category 5 hurricane in a teacup over a misplaced set of keys. Jake, bless his heart, would get completely drained. About once or twice a month my phone would buzz and I'd see his name. I knew the drill. Dude head sigh, the sound of pure exhaustion coming through the speaker. I can't. She's spinning out. I just need like 3 hours of quiet. Can you just, I don't know, take her somewhere? It was a weird request, but I got it. He was at his limit. Yeah man, no problem. I'd say, send her over. So Chloe would show up at my door, usually vibrating with a chaotic energy. My job as I saw it was just to be a neutral, calming presence. We'd go for long walks, usually on these trails in the woods behind my old place. The crunch of leaves under our feet was basically the only sound for the first 10 minutes. Then she'd start talking. It was never small talk. We'd dive straight into life philosophy, her latest existential crisis, my thoughts on the future. We connected on this strangely deep level. She was smart as hell, just wired for chaos. Sometimes we'd end up on a park bench just sitting side by side, watching the world go by. We might cuddle a little, but I'm talking about the kind of cuddling you do with a sibling. Like shoulders touching, a kind of we're in this together lean. There was zero sexual tension from my end. The thought never even crossed my mind. My whole internal monologue was okay, keep the conversation steady, listen to her, let her vent. We're de-escalating the situation. After a few hours she'd be a different person, calm-centered, that frantic energy gone. I'd walk her back to their place, she'd give me a genuine quiet thanks and disappear inside. Later I'd get a text from Jake, you're a lifesaver man. Seriously, I honestly felt pretty good about my role in all this. I was the Switzerland in their volatile relationship. I was helping my best friend get a much-needed break, and I was helping a friend I cared about find her center again. I figured I was the perfect guy for the job, because there was no romantic weirdness to complicate things. I was just the reliable platonic buddy. Little did I know Chloe was going back to Jake and telling him a completely different story about what was happening on those walks in the woods. A much different story. And I was the last one to find out. Fast forward a couple of years. I ended up moving out of town for a job, but only about an hour's drive away, so I was still back pretty often to hang out. Since I no longer had my own place, their I'd usually crash on someone's couch. But sometimes Jake would be out of town for work, and Chloe would offer me her place. The first time she did, she said, don't be dumb, you can just take the bed. I'll take the couch. I refused naturally, but she was insistent, and eventually it morphed into this weirdly practical arrangement where I'd just crash in her bed with her. Now let me be crystal clear about what this looked like. Her bed was a queen, and I would occupy maybe 8 inches of it. I'd lie ramrod straight on the absolute farthest edge, my arm hanging off the side, my body angled away from her. The moment I got under the covers, I created a DMZ of blankets between us. We didn't even hug hello when I'd get there. It was a purely logistical sleeping solution for a broke friend. At least that's what was happening in my brain. During this period, her whole vibe had shifted. The chaotic energy I knew before had curdled into something much darker. She was drinking heavily, like a bottle of red wine, a night was standard. She got deep into this whole goth poetry thing, and our late-night talks, which used to be about philosophy, were now about tragedy, loss, and the romanticism of death. Her energy just felt heavy. It was uncomfortable. I'd listen, trying to be the same supportive friend I'd always been, but a part of me was just thinking, this is not good. This is a dark path. I was in a tough spot. On the one hand, I needed a place to crash, and deep down I still cared about her and worried about her. On the other hand, her choices were pushing me away. My internal thought process was a constant negotiation. Okay, be a friend, but don't get sucked into the vortex. Listen, but don't endorse. Be present, but maintain distance. The physical distance I kept in her bed became a perfect metaphor for the emotional distance I was trying to enforce. We'd lie there in the dark, separated by a yard of mattress, and talk for hours. I'd be staring at the ceiling, carefully choosing my words while she spun these dark poetic webs in the air. I had this distinct feeling that I was failing some kind of test. I thought the test was about being a good enough friend, pull her back from the edge. The whole time I felt this gnawing sense of unease, a feeling that I was just a tourist in her tragedy. It turns out I wasn't just failing a test, I was in a completely different class taking a subject I didn't even know existed, and she was apparently getting extremely frustrated with my failing grades. So about 3 months ago, Jake and I are at a bar just catching up. It's been years since he and Chloe split and we're just shooting the shit talking about work life the usual. Out of nowhere, in the middle of a story about his new job, he pauses and gets this weird nostalgic smile on his face. "You know," he says, taking a sip of his beer, "I never told you how much I appreciated you handling Chloe back in the day." "Oh yeah, man. No worries," I said. "That was a wild time." He laughs. "Wilder than you think. You know, she used to tell me you two were getting hot and heavy on those walks, right? To try and make me jealous." I stopped with my glass halfway to my mouth. My brain just buffered. I thought it was a joke, a bad one. I gave a weak, confused laugh. "What? No. What are you talking about?" He looked at me, his smile unwavering. "Yeah, man. The whole time." And honestly, I just shrugged. I was like, neat. Worth it. As long as she came back calm and wasn't starting fights with me, I didn't care. He said it so casually, like he was telling me he'd decided to switch laundry detergents. The words hit me like a physical force. Neat. Worth it. I wasn't a friend helping a friend. I was a service he was using. A human pressure release valve. My brain was furiously trying to process this to reconcile the 5 years of my memories with this new, insane information. But he wasn't done. And then he continued, completely oblivious to the fact my world was tilting on its axis when you used to crash in her bed. "She actually called me once to complain that you weren't making a move on her. Said she was getting super frustrated." He chuckled. "Then like a week later she told me you guys had finally started doing stuff." I just stared at him. The clinking glasses of the bar, the game on the TV in the corner, it all faded into a dull roar. So Chloe was frustrated by my platonic distance, complained about it to my best friend, and when nothing changed, she just invented a sexual relationship for his benefit. And he knew. They both knew. They were both operating in this shared fictional universe where I was sleeping with my best friend's girlfriend, and I was the only person in the trio who wasn't aware of it. I was the last to know. About everything. My role as the supportive friend, the deep talks, the careful boundaries I set, it was all just a backdrop for a psychodrama I didn't even know I was starring in. I was a prop. For 5 years. Fucking weird, huh? So Reddit, here's my question because my mind is still blown. How often does this even happen? How often does someone lie about stuff happening that isn't versus the usual lies about stuff not happening that is?